Hey everybody, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. Firstly, I must thank Gemma in the UK for being my 500th subscriber. That's awesome. I did notice I ended up losing a subscriber as well, so I'm actually stuck on 499. But Janet, I will always appreciate that you were number 500. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who's liked, shared, subscribed and commented on these videos. It's been a really interesting and thoroughly enjoyable journey so far. Thank you. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was judging. That's the first thing. You know, how hard it is to sometimes reconcile what the judges' scores are with what we as fight fans see. And then the second thing I wanted to talk about is really asking a question, and that's, did Turki Al-Sheikh cheat? So, let's talk about the first thing. The judging this past weekend had some strange and hard to reconcile scorecards, most noticeably on the Adames and Shiraz fight. You know, and again, I'm not griping because, you know, my guy didn't win or whatever. You know, I'm not. But if we look at Shiraz and Adames, or Adames and Shiraz, I mean, I scored it 7-5 for Adames, and I understand that there are people who will say, no, you know, I saw it differently. I get that, because as fans, we're watching on a tablet or a phone or a big screen TV. We're not there, and more to the point, we're not professional judges, right? I've never professed to be, you know, a technical analytic expert. I'm just a fan. I'm just a guy who's watching a fight, right? And I'm, you know, this is my way of scoring. I'm just writing down, you know, from 1 to 12. I just put an S or an S or an A as I'm seeing it, right? So this is like I'm a totally unsophisticated guy when it comes to scoring, but I kind of, you know, my eyes see something and I scratch down what my thoughts are. But a professional judge is right there and they're watching carefully and they can see different things. They can see a power shot, they can see a jab, they can see if something slightly misses, right? And yet, if we look at, you know, one scored it 115 to 114 for Hamza Shiraz. And fair enough. If that's the view of a professional judge, I have to accept that they're the man on the ground, as it were, you know? But then another judge scored it 118, 110 for Adames. Says that's a 9-round swing. I mean, I can understand if me and you were watching a fight and I say, oh, well, he won, and you say, no, bullshit. You know, it was the other guy won. What are you looking at? Your bloody glasses need to be cleaned. I get that. We're fans. A 1-round difference, maybe. 2 rounds difference, maybe. But 9-round swing? Like we're watching we're watching a different show, right? So again, I emphasize, you know, the professional judges are totally at odds here. And then the third judge, of course, scored it a draw. And again, you know, I'm not making a fuss about the decision on its own. I'm talking about how judges come to these conclusions and what as fans we should be able to reasonably expect. Like, I think it's unreasonable for us to watch a fight and then for a scorecard to be so out in left field that we think, oh, what's the point, right? You know, maybe we should have it like American Idol, like online scoring or something. I'm being facetious. I'm not being serious, right? Because when you watch a fight, you expect, if it goes to the judges' scorecards, for it to be a close approximation to what you watched. You know, and likewise, we expect the commentating to be roughly what we're watching. We don't expect to hear commentators saying, oh, well, Jones hit him and hit him and hit him and hit him. And you're looking and thinking, Jones missed. Like, Smith was the guy who was doing the hitting. And unfortunately, that does happen. I mean, there's a lot of, wrapping yourself in that flag of supporting your team or your country. And quite often I prefer to watch a fight with the volume turned down. And I know a lot of you guys do as well. But I was thinking, is there, I'm not a technology kind of guy, right? You watch these videos, I'm not a technology kind of guy. But do we have the technology now? And this is a question I'm asking. I'm hoping some brighter than me and smarter than me and no doubt younger than me viewers will be able to answer this. But do we have the technology where we can have high-speed cameras and maybe an algorithm that puts them together, I guess I'm talking about an AI judge? Can we have the technology available now? I mean, I know technology is only as good as the programming that's put into it, I guess. But is the technology to a point where we can actually have confidence in an artificial intelligence-based judging system? I mean, the cameras surely are advanced enough. It's just whether or not the flow of that information can be put together into some sort of program that will spit out a reasonable answer. And I truly don't know. I have no clue, right? But something has to be better than a 9-round swing between human being judges. Do we need to take judges back to a school? Do they need to actually have an intensive training program? Or do we need to have judges explain in writing to the board why and how they scored a fight a certain way? Do we need to have a greater degree of accountability for judges? Because not only do ultimately millions and millions of dollars depend upon their decision. If you score somebody as a winner and they go on to have a next fight that is life-changing money versus the guy who ends up having to go to the bottom of the pile again. But it goes to the credibility of the sport, the integrity of the sport. Because quite frankly, I mean, if we see a rematch of a fight where there's been these wild swings, I don't have a lot of confidence that if it goes to the judges, we're going to get a reasonable outcome. And truly, I don't care which fighter wins. Of course, like everybody else, I have my preference, but I don't care. That's not what this is about. It's about the integrity of a judging system. It's like in sprinting. You don't care if Usain Bolt beats somebody else. Really, you don't care. But what you would care about is if a judge said, yeah, I actually didn't watch the finish, but I think it was the other guy. That's nonsense, right? And this is what this is appearing to be. And I'm not picking on this fight alone. It's just an example. We've seen other fights, right? Where people have, Catterall Taylor, right? Where people's careers were so impacted that Catterall should have been the undisputed world champion, and it never happened. Now, I know in that case there was a question about one of the judges who may have been downgraded. But I'm not picking on one particular fight. I'm talking about the structural difference. Let me know what you think on that. The second thing is, did Turki Al-Sheikh cheat in this Hamza Shiraz Adames fight? Now, counterpunch boxing in the United States of America has made a very interesting video. And it appears, and I emphasize the word appears, I wasn't there. Neither were most of you. But it appears that Turki Al-Sheikh, who is writing the checks, calling the shots, he's the head man, went to the judges and got informed that Shiraz was behind by 2 rounds. And it then appears that he indicated to Shiraz's corner that they were behind by 2 rounds. A couple of questions come up in my mind. What business does he have going to the judges and asking the judges what the scores are before the fight's over? Why didn't the judge say some version of go away? I think that's the easiest question to answer. And then what did Turkey think he was doing by indicating to the corner? All that, I think, is contrary to, if it's not contrary to the written rules, it's contrary to the spirit of the rules. I doubt very much that anyone's going to be able to say anything to Turkey because, of course, you know, the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. But it was a very unseemly thing to have happened. And again, very troubling. You know, I know since the days of, you know, John L. Sullivan, that there's been a kind of a home fighter advantage, home field advantage. But that's, you know, you'd like to see it not be the case, right? Because otherwise, I think we're going to lose, again, faith in the credibility of the system. And do we want, as fans, to be watching something where we know or we suspect that it's a bent game? Let me know what your thinking is on this. And please like, please share, please subscribe. I really want to get back to 500. Please, please, please. No, seriously, thank you all very much for watching. And I look forward to seeing the comments in this video. I think we could have a good discussion here. Cheers and have a fabulous day. Thank you.